Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles episode reviews. Today we are wrapping up City of Stone, Part 4, and the entire 4-part set. Demona and Macbeth died in 1057 AD. Briefly. Via the Weird Sisters' magic, both will live until one kills the other. Now, 900 years later, Macbeth is at the end of his rope. Life damages the living, even the immortal. He wants to rest, and that will require him killing Demona. She, however, has other plans, such as destroying humanity. Meanwhile, Team Xanatos and the Gargoyles are in mortal danger. In order to save themselves and New York City, they'll have to get Demona to cooperate. Yeah, like getting blood from a stone, you say? Not if you can turn the stone to flesh first. It will take superhuman, gargoyle, and natural effort, though. Did you miss the first part of City of Stone Part 4 or all the other episodes? Well, you can go watch it or read it. Checkmate. Luach and Bodhi. Bodhi, whose unwitting fault this largely is, roll up. Cue grieving. Luach swears to avenge his father. Then Bodhi crowns Luach High King of Scotland. They leave too, abandoning Groch and her husband's corpse. And there's Luach looking very sad, but manfully wearing the crown. This has got to be a shock for Luach. His whole life, his dad's basically been the same age. Luach probably thought Macbeth would never die. Then who should appear but the Weird Sisters? They're in different forms depending on who looks at them, or rather, everyone sees them in a form that is most acceptable to that person. Hence, Goliath sees them as children, Demona sees them as gargoyle crones, and Macbeth sees them as old women and witches. Alright, here they are as the crones. Sorcery has apparently taken a hit in the public eye since back in 994 AD, back during Wyvern's time. It was fine to have a magus on staff. Then Demona stirs. She stands up, very much alive. Ho, Gruach goes off. And well she should. She tells Demona how it is, that it's all Demona's fault, and that Mac was loyal. She also makes it clear that she does not think highly of gargoyles. She tolerates them, and that's it. Reviewing these eps has given me respect for Groch and her fortitude. She's got guts. Demona snarls, but since she doesn't attack Groch or put up much of a fight, it's clear that she knows the queen is right. Demona departs in a rage. Now Groch is alone with her husband and the Weird Sisters. The sisters explain that Canmore got it a bit wrong. King and gargoyle are linked, but when one lives, both live, sharing each other's pain and anguish until one kills the other. Or what if you kill them both at the same time? Probably still has to be the one killing the other type of deal. I remember Greg saying something about people asking if Demona had her head cut off, if that would kill her. But he says, well, she hasn't, so she isn't dead. It was kind of a roundabout answer that didn't answer anything and just sort of put the question off. It was funny, though. It's a takeoff on the no man born of woman, quote-unquote, can kill Macbeth idea in the Shakespeare version. Pretty tricky, Greg and company. I like it. Now, Macbeth revives. He wants to jump right back in and pretend the death thing didn't happen. Heck, it's not like they even bothered to check a pulse, so he could have just been unconscious. There wasn't any blood around. Disney. And why wasn't there? I mean, there was blood when Broadway shot Elisa. Well, Groch knows better, though. Luach must take Macbeth's place. She doesn't say it, but she knows Macbeth can't rule indefinitely without, well, looking like sorcery. And in fact, actually, she does say, you are already accused of sorcery. So this does confirm what Kenmore has said. And there they are sharing a kiss as the sun rises. How many times have they kissed on this same hill? It's beautiful. And it's utterly heartbreaking when you see that he walks away from her. He's dead to her and she to him. Macbeth must go into exile and never see her again, she says. Now, there's really no good reason she can't go with him. She says they can't both abandon Luach. Listen, hon, I know you love Luach, but he's a grown man. He's fine. Go finish your life with your husband. Let him enjoy your company. He'll be alone for a long, long time. The big reveal. That brings us back to the Erie building, where Demona and Macbeth are facing off. She tells him to take off the mask, as she knows it's him. Out in the wild blue yonder, Goliath and Xanatos fly abreast of each other. Unlike in The Edge, though, Xanatos is not trying to slash the gargoyle's face off. They make a nice team. They really do. And you know Xanatos is digging this. There they are, side by side. And it's even more amusing because Xanatos' armor is made to look so much like Goliath. Goliath admits that Xanatos' plan might work. That had to make David's day. Getting affirmation from your opponent is a great feeling. He takes it in stride, though, saying, I had no doubt about that. It sounds cocky, but when you look at the plan, it's actually pretty simple. I mean, they just have to spray some stuff in the sky and light it up. It's semi-tricky in execution because you have to get the right gas and you have to get it up there. But it's not really hugely difficult compared to, I don't know, springing the pack from prison and getting Fox out on an early parole. Xanatos is more worried about Bronx ripping up the tapestry. Goliath plays dumb, so David has to explain about, how Bronx was tearing it up before they left. According to Greg, this is a weak ploy to get Goliath and Xanatos back to the castle, and Greg admits it. But the writers didn't have a quicker way to do it, so they used the tapestry. I kind of like it, though. The fact that Xanatos has already moved past lighting the sky on fire to save the city and his people, and is now thinking about the mutt eating his house, is in character. It's like when somebody's unloading drama on you and you're sitting there thinking about whether you should eat the leftover tuna salad tonight or get a taco. He and that Garg beast have had some animosity built up between them, since Bronx has pinned Xanatos a number of times, and, Xanatos always sets his robots on the Garg. I don't think Xanatos is much of a pet person. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Goliath has a realization and roars back to the castle. Something's amiss, and it's not Bronx tearing up the Erie building's decor. Now, Macbeth was not wearing the hunter's mask as a disguise, but as a reminder of Demona's treachery. Now, this goes right over her head, of course. There they are, facing off in the Great Hall. Bronx is there, and behind them or beyond them is the stone statues of Elisa and Owen. Hey, take it outside, you guys. And there he's ripped off the hood. If Macbeth had just sniped her from behind the tapestry, it would all be over by now. But no, that's not how revenge works. You don't bolt it, you savor it. She mocks him, reminding him that he can't kill her without dying himself. Demona, take a lesson from Xanatos and don't underestimate your enemies. Macbeth is old, tired, and isn't going to take any more of your crap. There's no reason for him to hang out in this life. It's been 900 years and he's ready for his sub-zero cold revenge. Now, Demona realizes it is serious. This is one person on the planet who can kill her. And unlike him, she wants to live. Remember, the most dangerous person in the world is a man who has nothing left to lose. She still has to wipe out humanity, though. Demona shifts from murder mode to cool and rational. I blame you, you blame me, she says. This is a rather Xanatosian way of dodging the blame. And there she is, looking kind of freaked out. No, things just got real. They have a rather amusing battle, with them feeling each other's attacks. The main outcome is that the giant, amazing chandelier in the center of the Great Hall, sadly, very sadly, gets blasted to the floor. The next blaster shot hits the floor itself. And now we're reenacting that scene from DuckTales. In the beginning, in the opening, where the floor collapses, starting at one end and the room and sort of flowing to the other. Yeah. I mean, what is the floor even made out of? It looks like they just sort of tacked some tiles on some beams. I don't even know how that's supported. Looks pretty unsafe. Somebody was not following the code here. Alright, castle build number 194 is about to begin, I guess. Goliath and Xanatos arrive in time to find the Great Hall falling into the sublevels. Xanatos finds this slightly surprising. While he gapes at his house sliding into a sinkhole, Elisa and Owen slide toward the abyss, and Goliath lunges and catches them. Thankfully, Elisa is firmly holding Owen. since he's pretty much just grabbing her arm there. It's almost like they're one statue. It's also really good that apparently they're a very strong statue. Your password has been reset. Once the two are safe, Xanatos checks the computer and realizes that Demona has A, locked him out. Don't you need the original password to change a password? Like, that's a security fail. And B, the packs, the gas packs will explode early. Now, I think Xanatos could use the Steel Clan robots to announce to the gargoyles that they needed to get out of the sky 10 minutes early. Of course, if they do, it'll delay the sky burning plan. And it's like, if they survive, it's not like they can't do this again. Just reset. And isn't there like a forgot password option? I mean, heck, this is your program. Like, you probably have the admin rights to it. But the story has to happen, so we move on. Goliath and Xanatos jump after Demona and Macbeth, who have dived into the lower levels. Somehow the fall didn't bother them. It's rather interesting that here Xanatos' feet have rockets, by the way, not just his main backpack jet. And we get a scene from Goliath's point of view as he tries to pull apart Macbeth and Demona, who are grappling. And they both look at him and pull back their fists. Looky there, they can still team up. Now, Xanatos is fresh out of patience. Take them down, we'll sort it out after, he says. He blasts them with a laser, but he should have used a higher setting because they get right back up again. You're not the only one with weapons, laddie, Macbeth reminds David. Mac throws a grenade, and this drops the floor again. Yeesh, take the elevator. The collapse catches Xanatos unawares. Goliath grabs him in mid-fall and does a parachute effect with his wings, long enough for Xanatos to get his boosters under him. They sort of ride down like that. Goliath is taking the truce seriously. I guess there were too much debris falling, and Xanatos is without his helmet because, he took it off upstairs and didn't have time to put it on again, to risk flying horizontally. And those are some big rocks. Goliath and Xanatos land on top of the steps that lead down to the pond and the bridge in the atrium. I guess it's the pool, you'd call it. Remember in Leader of the Pack when Owen called Broadway at PMS and told him that they should go to the soiree at the Atoshiana Maru? That's the same location here. So right behind Macbeth and Demona would be where, up there on the upper railing area, would be where Owen was standing. Alright, so Macbeth is holding Demona, and he is walking toward a piece of rubble that has a big metal spike from Rerod, probably, sticking out of it. You almost want him to do it after seeing all he's been through and all Demona has put everyone through, including herself. So Goliath and Xanatos are up at the top of the steps, and Macbeth and Demona are on the bottom. Demona is knocked out, but Mac is up and ready to end the 900 years of shared life. Goliath calls for him to stop, saying death doesn't solve anything. Actually, Goliath, if she died, it would solve a lot. By the way, this is just going back in another architecture thought. We see the big hunk of rock that's up there above the atrium that looks like it's from the bottom of the castle. That's why I think it's sort of an artificial rock, because I'm not sure how they were able to fall through the Great Hall into the one sublevel and then down through that, whatever was below that, which looked like not a whole lot, mainly open air, and into the atrium. And also, it's kind of confusing because the rock is supposed to be above the slanty window that's over the atrium, if you look at it. But I don't know, I just take the Erie building way too seriously, I guess. Here they are, Goliath and Xanatos standing at the top of the stairs. That place is huge. My gosh, I am so jealous of this atrium area. And I still don't understand how they can see the buildings from that angle, because that makes it look like the atrium is a lot lower than those other buildings. And when we usually do a shot of the Erie building, the whole castle chunk and the atrium, and even that gold, like I say, the one that's like got tubes on the front of it, or however you want to describe it, that looks to be above most of the other buildings around it. All right, sorry, getting back to the issue at hand. Before Goliath can jump in further, as I'm sure he's about to do, the Weird Sisters appear. They ask if Macbeth's father's death stopped Macbeth from becoming king. No. Did Joachim Gain's death settle the score? No. Did Macbeth's death save his son from Kenmore? No. Goliath reiterates that life, not death, is the answer. Xanatos, for his part, looks on impassively. There he is behind Goliath, while Goliath is giving a very heartfelt speech. All angsty. Macbeth surrenders. I'm just so tired, he says. Now, I use this quote in real life. I can only imagine what 900 years would feel like. The sisters tell him to sleep, and there they are in the human form from the 90s, with the tights and the mini skirts. This is what I'm planning to do here, the sleeping thing, after I do this post. According to Greg, Demona and Macbeth must be weakened mentally for them to be susceptible to the sisters' spells. By the way, there was another, I think it was according to Greg, that he said that Xanatos is actually seeing the Weird Sisters as these the 90s chicks, whereas Goliath sees them as the kids. As Macbeth lies down for a nap, Demona awakens. Xanatos breaks the mood with, normally I'd be fascinated by all this, but I need that access code to save my city. It is indeed his city. He probably owns half of it, but it's nice to see an antagonist show feelings for his home area. Unlike the cliched villains of other series, he cares deeply for his city. He's not going to go out and try and destroy it like most of these other people. Plus, it would be horrible for business if it all went to hell. And there they are, standing with the clouds in the background of the sky. You can see through the window. You got the three Weird Sisters in their tight, revealing outfits. Up front, Xanatos in armor behind them, and Goliath behind him. And they're still wearing their little gas packs. It's a credit to the cast and crew of Gargoyles that this scene makes perfect sense and is quite serious. It's not part of a 1990s MTV video. The sisters attempt to make Demona give the access code to the computer. Yes, she refuses. Now we get to see how Demona is the queen of excuses, not answering one question, but still trying to put the blame on everybody else. The Weird Sisters could have let her continue to refuse, but that would have invited Xanatos and Goliath to act, so they confront her. Demona will have vengeance for her clan. Ah, but who betrayed her clan? The Vikings destroyed her clan. Who betrayed the castle? The hunter hunted her clan. Who created the hunter? Kenmore destroyed the last of her clan. Who betrayed Macbeth to Kenmore? Goliath tells her vengeance invites only a further cycle of vengeance and sorrow. At last she relents. The access code is alone. Okay, is that all caps, like first letter capitalized, no numbers or special characters? All right, and that's not more than 6 letters either, by the way. Now, she is kind of crying during this, and there's sort of a white background, so you know that it's almost a trance situation. And you almost feel sorry for her at this point. After seeing her history, you understand why that word, alone, would be the first to come to mind. It's also what she would have been if she carried out her plot to kill the clan and the humans. She's crying as she says it. At least she's opened herself to the weight of her existence. Forever angry, forever distrusting, forever alone. It's painfully sad. And I think the Weird Sisters were trying to get Goliath to value her life so that he wouldn't allow Macbeth to kill her. Xanatos blasts off back to the Great Hall, or what's left of it, and shuts down the countdown. Whew, he breathes a sigh of relief, and we all do, and wipes his brow. It's a rare moment that David Xanatos sweats. About the only thing that gets to him is his family when they're in danger. Yeah, I feel the same way there when I finally get the right password in, and it's like one attempt away from locking you out. Bronx is eyeing him, and Xanatos turns to look at the dog, hand on his hip there, and in the background he had 3 seconds to spare, and it says "Alone, countdown terminated." This scene cracks me up every time. It's a nice relief to the tension that's mounted. Evidently feeling a bit sheepish for getting worked up now that everything's cool, Xanatos says, "What are you looking at?" It makes me laugh every time, but it's totally a perfect thing to say. Down below, the Weird Sisters take charge of Demona and Macbeth. In child form, they say the two are their children, since the sisters have written their stories. This is getting weirder by the second. What do they want with these two? Sisters are just plain spooky. It's interesting to see how children of Oberon differ, though. And there they are holding her by the wrists, and she is pulling with all her might. Eyes are glowing, wings are out, but she is not moving those kids 1 inch. Everyone else gathers on the castle lawn to watch the fireworks. The robots detonate, and the sky bursts into glorious flames. It's truly a magnificent spectacle. Even Xanatos is impressed. And there's the fire, and it follows along the trails that are left in the sky. That's almost like dragons or something in there. That is better than the 4th of July. And then these little sparks come down. I'm not sure why there's ash when it's gas, but it looks so cool that I will go with it. And very fiery yellow background. And then there's Goliath and Xanatos standing together, side by side, watching it in awe. I just love that scene. According to Greg, it took some technology to get the sky to look so good burning. And it really is beautiful. Antag and Protag united as they watch the spell break. They return to the Great Hall to find Elisa and Owen flesh once more. Owen dodges the stampede of gargoyles, who dogpile Elisa in joy. Xanatos curbs his enthusiasm, saying, "You'll forgive me if I just shake your hand." Of course. They shake, and Xanatos does not do a crushing handshake. I won't lie, I'd have loved to see these guys bear hug each other in relief, but they have an image to maintain. But they're both thrilled the plan worked. One wonders how the reunion between Fox and David went down. Yeah, I bet I can guess. The clan flies out, but Xanatos approaches Goliath before Big and Purple can leave. David says, "I've wondered why I let you creatures live. Now I know. You come in handy now and then." There's a touch of sarcasm in his voice, but there's truth in his words. He has had countless chances to destroy the clan, but that's not who he is. He's an antagonist, not a bloodthirsty villain who wants only to see the heroes die a slow death in an acid bath or a shark tank. He enjoys having them around to play with. Even when they interfere in his plans, they at least offer a good challenge. And, I think that is the answer that he came up with himself, but he's not going to let Goliath know. After Goliath responds to Xanatos, they really should have done a shot back at Xanatos to see how he reacted, but they did not, sadly. Well, Goliath had a good comeback, one that he delivers with a sarcastic grin, as do you, occasionally. I really like this exchange. It's like something players in opposite sports teams would say to each other. Goliath doesn't start yelling about how this is all Xanatos' fault. No, he answers in kind, and then gets on with his night. Side note, I notice Elisa still hasn't taken Xanatos down. She doesn't pursue this debacle's source, just as she didn't really follow up, that I can tell anyway, on Genutech. If anything would be an obsession for her, you'd think it would be taking out the man who turned her bro into an eelcat bat. Or maybe she's still a little bit hesitant, since it was her trying to take him down in the first place that got poor Derek involved in all this. Final thoughts. Thus we finish another tier and tentpole. We've learned the background of two powerful antagonists, which means we'll need to know this information later. What are the Weird Sisters up to with Demona and Macbeth? The sisters have taken charge of the pair now. I have a bad feeling about this. The Fae set this all up for a reason. How will the temporary truce affect Goliath and Xanatos' interactions from now on? Will it change anything? Doubtful. It ended the moment the gargoyles stepped off the castle battlements. How on earth did the rest of the world not know about NYC being turned to stone? Greg XB in the comments a few posts back suggested it was the Illuminati at work, keeping it hushed up. It's as good as an explanation as I've heard, but you'd think a few people would notice. Then again, what are they going to do? You can notice a lot of things in the real world, but you can't do anything about them. The mass hypnosis explanation only goes so far. Maybe the Weird Sisters worked around Oberon's ban on interference somehow? One last thought. Xanatos helped Demona in an effort to extend his life. Macbeth acted in order to end his and Demona's. Both motives would have benefited their owners if their plans had succeeded. Neither motive was wrong or bad in itself. Xanatos wants to live longer. He didn't want to hurt anybody during the attempt. Macbeth wants to rest. Taking the genocidal Demona with him would be doing the world a favor. Hang on, one more thought. Goliath is a great believer in a person's ability to change for the better. It's why he helped Xanatos save Fox from the Eye of Odin. But Goliath is neglecting the fact that Demona is over 1,000 years old. She thinks on a whole other level than he does. He's lived, 70 or 80 human years? So that's 35 to 40 gargoyle years. I'm too lazy to look up exactly how old he is. Sorry. He's not an antagonist, so you'll just have to do that on your own. Demona has got 500-ish gargoyle years on him. She also has the benefit of seeing the world change through that whole period rather than waking up 1,000 years later. If all she's been through hasn't changed her mind, nothing will. That can't teach an old dog new tricks line is a saying because the older and more set in your ways you are, the less likely it is you'll change. Well, stay tuned to the next episode, High Noon, where we meet Macbeth and Demona again. But they're not quite themselves. We also meet another familiar face. So, what did you think of this four-parter? I mean, most people consider it quite a work of art. I really like it. I didn't really appreciate it like I should have before I did this analysis. But after I did, it's really become a wonderful little collection of episodes, in my opinion. I enjoyed them a lot. Had a lot of my favorite characters in it, and it was nice to see Xanatos in a role other than the usual antagonist role. Also great to get answers to our questions about Demona and Macbeth, and just see some different time periods, different gargoyles, and a lot of character growth, and that's always fascinating. So, what'd you think? You can comment here. You can comment on the blog. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.